All right, welcome back. We are on week 2, working in Adobe Illustrator. So let's go ahead and go down here to Adobe Illustrator. We're going to click on that, and we're going to create a new document. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about here in creating a new document is go through the new document dialog box. This is a dialog box here. First, we'll give it a name. I'm going to call this Larry. Well, let me make sure there we go. There's our name. Number of artboards, we're not going to worry about that right now. We'll leave that as 1, although you can set up multiple artboards, or in other words, multiple pages that you can work on. Our current size is letter. It's 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches tall, and we can define the units right through here. I'm going to keep it as letter. We also have other preset sizes as well. If you want to, you can highlight that and type in 5 by 8. It'll automatically default to inches, and you'll notice that your size is going to change to custom in that case. A lot of times with Illustrator, the sizes will stick strictly as sizes will be made as custom sizes because you're creating an individual graphic or something like that that will get transferred and put into a lot of different formats. So you'll make it really only the size of the actual unit or the actual project itself. But we'll keep it at letter right now. This is portrait. This is landscape. Portrait means it's taller than it is wide. In other words, it's 11 inches high by 8.5 inches wide. Landscape means it's wider than it is tall. So if I refer to, or I ask you to do something and I refer to it as landscape, you'll know that it means wider than it is tall. There are multiple different color modes. Right now we've got CMYK or RGB. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's the process colors that they print full color with. RGB represents red, green, and blue. That's the visible color spectrum, or what you would see on your monitor. And so primarily, unless you're doing commercial printing, you can stick with RGB as a rule. But if you're going to do commercial printing, you want to be in CMYK. Don't worry about the roster effects or these things right now. We're just going to leave it exactly as it is, and we'll leave it exactly as it is and hit OK. All right, so here's our document. Now, the very first thing we want to do is talk about the different letters, or not letters, I'm sorry, the different tools that are on here. You'll see your tool palette. If you don't see that, you can go up to Window. It will show you Tools. There are also different things that you can click on to be able to see. This is your control palette down here. If we want to get rid of that, we'll go to Window, Control, and it will get rid of it. Window, Application bar, we can get rid of those. That's sort of up to you. I'm going to go ahead and click down here in this bottom right hand corner and enlarge my screen so I have plenty of space. This is our toolbox, and we're going to talk a little bit about these and exactly what they do in a moment. But first, right here, I want you to notice in some of these tools there's a little triangle at the base of them. What that means is that those tools have a family. You'll see that within there are a couple of different choices. The pen tool is an excellent example. There's 4 different tools associated with that. Now, when you click on that and hold it, you've got to hold it for a few seconds, and then that dialog or that extra window will pop up. When that happens, if you choose to, you can come over here, which is the tear off stem, and it will create its own palette for you. You can decide if you like that or not. It kind of bugs me because it just, after a while, it starts to get so many palettes on here that you don't know where everything is, and so organizationally it's a little tough. So I'm going to click on that box to get rid of it. So here are our tools. If you want other choices, look for the ones that have the little diagonal in the base. Okay. Now you can click here, and that will change the way that that's viewed. I like the 2-column setup myself. It doesn't really matter, but that's one of the ways you can do it. Now, all of you, very quickly, while you're looking at this, or while you're in Illustrator, you're going to hit the Tab key. You'll notice that all of your palettes disappear. Now, before you panic and call me and say, "Oh, Professor Fulmer, geez, all my palettes are gone, what do I do?" I'll just say, hit the Tab key. And then you go, "Oh, okay, thanks, bye." So before you call me, check and see if your Tab key needs to be pressed, and all of those will be restored. Okay? Doesn't matter how many palettes are out, all the ones that you had up will come back. Now I'm going to place an image in here very quickly. It's an image of the tool palette with all of the tools that are associated with it. So I'm going to place that by going to File, Place. Now that file is on my desktop, so I'll click on Desktop, and I've got to go here. Here we go, Illustrator Tools Image. Select that and place it. Now it's a little big, so I'm just going to scale it down so that we can see what we're doing. If I grab my black arrow, you'll notice that what it will do is create a boundary box around the entire thing. And that will scale it down. Now, I'm also going to go here to Object Lock Selection. You'll see a little Command 2 symbol by it. That means if you push the Command key down and then hold that down and push the 2 as well, it will lock it. Now that can't move, I can't grab it. The only thing I can do to get rid of it is go to Object, Unlock, and then I can select and delete it. But the reason I'm doing this is to be able to show you certain things. And this graphic is also in your syllabus, so you'll want to refer to that. I'm going to go to my Window and get my Swatches palette. Now we're going to learn more about these palettes in a little while, but I'm going to do it just for illustration right now. I'm also going to go to Window and the Transparency palette right here. Okay. Now I'm going to select a square. I'm going to make a square about like that and fill it with red. And to fill that with red, I'm just going to click on that red, and it will automatically change my fill color over here. And we're going to learn more about that in a moment, but I'm just kind of narrating as we go along. Now instead of being normal, I'm going to put it in multiply at a lighter percentage. The reason I'm going to do that is this. There are certain tools on here that are useful that you will want to learn, that we'll talk about, and then there are a number of tools that really are kind of a waste of time based on how Illustrator works. So first of all, let's kind of show you which ones you're going to want to use. This tool right here, the selection tool, I'm going to change that, I think, to yellow so it highlights a little better. And I'm going to zoom in. I'll get my magnifying glass, click and zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. I'm going to move these around now. I won't need these actually anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete them, or just hide them. The selection tool is very important. You'll notice the little V right there in parentheses. That's a quick key that if you push that V, it will automatically get you to that arrow. Okay. Now I'm going to select this. I'm going to just copy it by pushing Command C and then Command V. We'll go to Edit, Copy, Edit, Paste. This tool, the white arrow, the direct selection arrow, is also very important. You'll see it has the A. I'm going to click A on my screen, and you'll see that, or on my keyboard, and it will automatically go to that white arrow. If I click V, it will go back to my dark arrow. So these two tools are going to be very, very important for selecting and being able to manipulate things. You'll notice that this one doesn't have a family. It's an entity unto itself, but there are families here. Okay. Now I'm just going to push, I pushed Command C already. It loaded in a file. So now I'm going to push Command V, or loaded in an image. I'm going to push Command V. That image will stay there for as long as I do, until I copy another object. The pen tool is very, very important. This is probably the most important tool of any of the graphic programs that you're going to have on the computer. This has a tremendous amount of flexibility. It's a little difficult to learn starting out because it's kind of a little different than we're used to drawing. When we draw, we're used to taking a pen and just dragging it around. In this case, it makes shapes by sort of a reverse dot to dot. You create the dots and the computer draws the lines between them until you form shapes. The type tool will be very important. And notice both of these have families associated with them. The line tool is a fairly important tool, but it can get a little gimmicky, like making spirals and arcs and stuff like that. So as a rule, if I need a line, I'll usually use the pen tool to do it. The rectangle tool is an important tool. It gives you not only a rectangle, but a rounded rectangle, which is kind of gimmicky. But the ellipse tool, or circles, polygons, stars, and the ever necessary flare tool. I'm just kidding about that. Don't use that tool. That's just sort of a joke. Stay away from the pencil tool as a rule and the paintbrush right now. We're not going to be learning about those. If we come down here to the rotate and scale tools, both of those tools are very important. Rotate, these give us the opportunity to manipulate shapes or orientation of objects. We can rotate or we can reflect things. See, it has the little letter by it there. Scale is going to allow us to change the size of something, or to shear it, turn it at an angle, or to reshape it and kind of manipulate the shapes there. So those are important. Don't worry about the warp tool or the transform tool or any of these right now. However, the gradient tool will come in handy later on. This allows you to change something from one color to another color very, very easily. The eyedropper tool is good in that it allows you to be able to select other tools or select other colors or line sizes or things like that. But as a rule, I rarely use it actually. So, but I'll put that there for you. And then finally, well, as far as the tools, the hand tool and the zoom tool are very important. Okay, the hand tool allows you to navigate around something. By clicking on that hand, I can click and drag and move all of these things around. A little shortcut though, however, is this. It says push the H to get to the hand tool, or you can simply hold down the space bar. While you're holding it down, it will allow you to manipulate and move that around. It will work any tool you're on. As long as you push the space bar, it will give you that hand tool. The one exception for that is using if you have type that's active on it. If you have type that's active and you push the space bar, you're just going to get a bunch of spaces. The next tool, or the last tool, I think, is the zoom tool. Now notice there's no family, but it zooms in and zooms out. Like this, you don't have to push the Z to be able to get in. All you have to do is any tool you're selected on, if you push the command and space bar, it will give you the zoom tool. You can click like this, or you can click and drag and it will zoom in on the area that's inside of that. Then push the option key, and so you'll have the command, option, and space bar all down. That will give you the zoom out tool. And every time you click with your mouse, it will allow you to zoom out. So these are the tools that we're going to need to know. These are the ones that we're really going to focus on. They're the fundamental tools within the program. And they're frankly the ones that really will handle 99.5% of any problems that you come into in Illustrator. We'll come back here in just a moment, and what we'll start doing is we'll start talking about the different tools and what they do.